Can print them. Aljo, did you get your stuff working?
Yes, I did, yeah.
Okay. So, okay. This at least is the solid waste resolution that is listed. And if you find 2 letters to the state, I thought I grabbed those, but I'm not finding them now. Pull up Jerry's letters, so just disregard them.
Did she give us the new application?
No, she's gonna do it today.
Okay.
It's maybe right there or something was afterwards or something.
And I'm just going to say, I was in the office for 3 days by myself, and it was hectic, so there may be lots of errors in the minutes.
Have you started looking for a part-timer yet?
No, now, I'm holding out hope we'll find a human resource.
Or are you waiting to see if we'll get hired?
Yeah. Because I think between not doing that, and I just had to have emergency surgery, so.
Uh-oh.
I thought I was going to be by myself this week. She's here, so.
Did we need to do like Gary's letter today, or?
Yes, and I
Yeah, I just have 2 corrections. There may be a few grammatical things in there, but nothing major. Under Highway Department, I would like it added under where it says that I discussed, it says that Commissioner Flug discussed gravel rates in 2019 and concerns with pictures on work performed at OS 65. So I'd like concerns with pictures added. Sure, of is fine, of or on, and then performed on or at OS 65. That's one, and the other one, under the nursing home, about 4 lines down, it says, while it's related that the board would need to establish a board to operate, I would say, while it's related that the commission, because the board and board kind of makes it confusing, but the commission would need to establish a board to operate the nursing home. And then I would just say, and asked, take out the board, asked to consider appointing the nonprofit organization. Because he didn't say appoint some of the members, he just said to use, he actually said to use that nonprofit board.
I would object.
That's exactly what you said. If you'd like to pull up the video, we can.
Do you have anything else?
No, those were the only 2 things I wanted clarification on.
Okay, so what for sure are we fixing in that sentence?
I would just take, you have the board a couple different times and it doesn't decipher between, I would put the first one as well as related that the commission needs to establish a board because that would be a separate board from the commission to operate the nursing home and ask to consider appointing the nonprofit organization that approached the county to run the nursing home so that they could get established, determine wages, and negotiate a management agreement.
Is that agreeable to the majority?
I believe it is, yeah.
Okay, so, well, it's related that the commission would need to establish a board to operate the nursing home and ask
To consider. Yeah. I just think with 3 different boards in there, it's
And then I'm taking out the word
some of the members of. You can just skip right to the,
so it would read, well, it's related that the commission would need to establish a board to operate the nursing home and ask to consider appointing a person of nonprofit organization that approached.
well, just the nonprofit
I
organization.
don't think I said appoint, I said using the board. Using some of the members, using the members of the board.
So I'm striking out appointing and not using.
Has changed. I think we need to get prepared. I guess, like the situation is to think about the fact that we want to establish that board.
I believe he said something.
So they can report on wages and because I have thought about this, I have talked about having one appointed by the commission. I think time is less.
to start with the nonprofit and add a commissioner to it.
I think is we consider formally establishing them as
I think
probably.
my idea is to start with that board. My feeling is we may end up with two boards eventually, but I think we need to have someone start formalizing some plan when, if and when this change of ownership takes place.
Right, I think that's the commission's obligation. But what you just said in the meeting is that you wanted to appoint the nonprofit organization and add a commissioner to it as the acting board. You didn't use the word acting, but you just said as the board. I move to approve the minutes of September 17th, 2018 as corrected.
I don't think I still have those regulations. Hang on.
That's okay.
Um,
Striking the board twice.
Okay, so I got Wallace related that the commission would need to establish a board to operate the nursing home and asked to consider appointing members of the nonprofit organization that approached the county to run the nursing home.
Well, actually, what he said was he asked to consider adding a commission to the nonprofit organization and using them as the administrative board.
Okay,
That's what it said in the video just now, if anyone wants to hear it.
so help me with what the minutes need to say.
I think you were right in what you just read.
So is your motion still standing?
And asked to consider appointing the nonprofit organization that approached the county. If you'd like to adding a commissioner to it, that's exactly what I just played on the audio from last week's video. I want it to be correct. I want it to reflect exactly what the video said.
I
That's
think
why
if the video says that, it also said that I would see that it was going to change.
You can add
eventually.
that. You can add that, which may change at a later date. That's fine.
Okay, tell me where you want me to change it, and what you want me to change it to.
To consider appointing the nonprofit organization that approached the county to run the nursing home. And all the rest of that sentence is fine. If Mr. Wallace would like to add, you can make a new sentence. He added that this board may change at a later date. That is accurate.
I think I also need to state in there that I said a commissioner needs to be on that board.
You did.
Okay, I'm gonna put in red. I'm gonna add a new sentence that said, Commissioner Wallace related a board member needed to serve on the board.
Commission. Make sure you say commission instead of board and board.
Member. And that the board may have board members might change after.
At a later date. He didn't say when. He just said in the future is what he actually said.
Okay, so I have it in red after the management agreement period. Commissioner Wallace related that a commission member needed to serve on the board and that the board members might change at a later date. And then period, that it begins debate amongst the board members and students.
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody happy with that?
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Rhonda Wright.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I have a deal here for you guys. You know, everything is valued as what it is the 1st of January. And let's say your house broke the 2nd of January, you still paid for the whole year, which that did happen. Here a couple years ago, the legislatures changed that, where if it was a natural disaster or fire or tornado or anything like that, and your house was destroyed or partly destroyed, you could get a relief. I have an application here that you guys need to go through and sign for the Phelps house that burned on the 7th of January. All the application, the form is information, and then at the end is a form that you guys need to fill out and sign for approval on it. And then I have put in a dollar amount that would be abated for the house for it being there just 7 days in the year.
Where does this go?
Where does this go? Then it comes back to me.
Oh, so you're just saying you already approved it, you're
Well,
asking for us to just sign it?
No, I didn't approve it, because I can't. It's gotta be a commissioner's approval deal.
But you're bringing it to us saying it's
Right.
legitimate?
Right,
And
I
we're-
bring
okay.
all the paperwork to you guys, that they had to submit pictures and a bunch of stuff, and then the form that goes with it, that you guys have to sign off on it and finish out on it and stuff, so that I will give to you guys, and you can do that whenever you get it done, and we'll get the adjustment made on it.
Let me look at the form real quick and make sure we're not gonna need you to,
That's the second page of it. There's another page that you
Does
just
that
have.
form end up going to the state or
No.
it just stays local?
do we have a written estimate? Do we have the deed of ownership?
Pardon me? All the information, all the... there's their information. Everything they had to supply, the form, the insurance estimate appeal, the deed, pictures, everything's all,
There's the warranty deed, there's the
Yeah.
pictures, okay.
yep, everything's there.
That was my question.
Yeah.
You wanna look at that first?
So, you know, you guys can look over it and then, you know, do what you need to do with it. And, I mean, I don't need to have it approved right now, but just,
Well, if you're not in a hurry, we'll look at it. I don't think there's any question. From the pictures that it's looks good.
So it's called disaster relief, and what you're saying is, was it a total loss?
yeah,
So that
you can
means
see
we-
about
Yeah,
Yeah. So then,
And
so
even
then the
if
abatement is
will be,
permanent?
the abatement, yeah, right. The abatement for this year will be the amount, I mean, how you figure it is you figure how the value and divide it by the number of days in the year, and then how many days they had it. Yeah, so since this was the 7th of January, you know, they don't owe much on it and stuff.
Okay, I move to approve disaster relief application for Christopher Phelps.
Second.
Just give me 1 second, is there a dollar amount? Do I need
There-
to, Dawn, do I need to say the dollar amount, or
We
Just
don't have,
No,
approve the
just-
application? Okay.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Terry,
Let's see, what is
the
this? 23rd, 24th?
24th, yeah. Dawn, the only duplicate I see in here is the fire sprinkler. There are 3 different statements. 2 say 350, and then the one has like a 900 and something because it adds on a $600 annual fee. So I don't know if that's just because we kept getting them later on in the year, and then they had added on their yearly fee by then. But
Thank you.
Thank you.
that and the pumping of the grease trap that, I guess it's dated for July. But it's not a duplicate. Pump grease trap from July 27th, $500 to Ready Industries.
There's another one, there's two of them there, but it's only one time, but there's two.
Still the same service date, is that?
Yeah. Same date and everything. Look through there. You guys, we're gonna go ahead with you guys run through while he's going through those.
Yep, one. We just wanted to let you know that reference to the discussion we had last week on storage, we're just going to continue using that building over here for storage. We need to move some more documents over there. So,
The one out back here.
yeah, just keep your heads up on that. That's all we have.
You have paper, is that what you mean? You
Yeah.
have paper documents stored in the little,
70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s.
are you required to keep all of that forever?
I need to see what it is. I still get requests several a month from the FBI. They want copies of reports on people. So I need to find out the requirements and how long they can stay.
I checked with the county attorney's office and just checked on the
Do we keep that hot and cold? I know someone's answered that, but
Is there a way of scanning all those papers
doors.
into?
We don't have the capabilities.
From anything from 2009 is on our
automated system.
audit. Yeah,
Yeah.
but everything prior to 2009, October 2009 is not. So we.
I don't think we can scan all those documents.
I need,
Take years.
I need to get the number on how long it gets stay because I guess if they're gone, they're gone.
Okay, well, we're not.
Is that building, I haven't looked in there, is it, a lot of it is your stuff, the space that's taken up?
There's two sides. Yeah, we have one side.
East side.
It has shelving units, but the one back room is floor to ceiling.
And then the rest of it is like maintenance stuff,
The
salt
other
and.
side is the maintenance side.
Okay.
We talked about once maybe a Connex, one of those empty semi-trailers, but then where do we put it? Has it monitored so we can break in offside.
Yeah, I'm not sure that the historical people will let us put a Connex up there. Maybe we could brick it,
Paint
get
it
some old,
pretty,
maybe we
yeah.
could get some old brick
Yeah,
and put
some
around it or
flowers
something.
on it.
Or some limestone.
Well, I think we're still trying to work out the logistics, but we have kind of decided that we have the necessary room right now to do what we need to do temporarily anyhow. So,
Except for we need to figure out where David's.
I know, and that's what I thought. I thought we were maybe going to ask to consolidate the extension office down here. I mean, I thought that was one of the solutions if we weren't going to be using that outbuilding.
It's a solution, it's just needs a decision, yes.
Is that what we're talking about down here under your?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want you guys to make a decision, because we
Yeah.
can't, I feel like
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're stuck.
Yeah, and it's almost the end of the month, and we had been requested by the treasurer to get moving by November, October. So we'll leave your
Well, I would,
papers
you
where
know, I
they be.
just think that if we're gonna, if we do something with that building, it's gonna be down the road. You know,
Somebody had suggested maybe we consider approaching the church that's catty corner from us to maybe try to purchase it, but Mike has been in it and said that.
I don't like the idea of using it for storage because it's a wood structure and it'll go up like a Roman candle if it ever catches fire. Everything's gone.
Is there any room on the lot for the EMS building to the west side? Or does the property line go right behind the building?
It's
Right
about
behind.
3 or 4
Right.
feet, I think, is it. I think if we're gonna do a separate building for storage, it needs to be constructed of something beside the wood.
Well, and somebody said maybe we could build something on our property right out back here for a little bit cheaper than what we.
It would have to be, you know, you'd have to go through the historical people and get it approved, but, I don't know if
Could you
they're-
go up on top of that little brick building? Well, I think
I'm sure
we can.
that, you know, the structure of that building, it was not designed to have a second floor to it, so you would probably have to clear the foundation to ever beef it up enough to.
Our other
handle it.
documents require 3 years, our warrant entries, those sort of things. So I don't know if case files are different, but if it is, we don't eliminate a lot of storage. It's
Certain amount of
10 years or
years you can
less.
go back, yeah. But still, what you're saying is you don't really have storage in your facility, so you're still gonna need,
my new facility, I'll make sure there's room for storage.
I was gonna say, I could probably assassinate myself.
Let's don't go there today.
That's really what we ought to be looking for.
Let's wait till after January to start that project,
We
okay?
could use their building as storage.
I'm not disagreeing with you one bit.
2
At
years,
all.
3 months.
What's that?
2 years, 3 months, then you can bring that up.
The need is there,
The need is
without
there.
a doubt.
Yes,
The
it
need
is.
has been there for years and years and years.
Just do tents.
I don't know if you wanna have an alluring type facility where you get people that are a little too comfortable staying there.
I don't think we need to build it comfy.
Well, what about adding on to what's there?
That'd be kind of hard to do to add on. That building was built in 1930. It was just,
The problem is that there is nothing in that building that's to today's standards that ever passed, so it's grandfathered into a certain extent.
You can go look at the front porch and you can see where it's slowly separating from the main building.
I'm sure in its day it was a fine facility. It was probably the best in the state of Kansas for a couple of days or something. If you quit arresting people, you wouldn't have quite as much need for space.
I don't think that's ever going to go.
Probably not,
It seems to get worse.
especially when most of them are all locals.
Has that transitioned? Because I remember talking last year, a lot of who we were housing was a temporary basis from I-70. So this year, is that different? It seems to be maybe the discussion.
We have had the traffic from my stuff that we've had in the past. So mostly all local arrests.
It's 80 or 90%. We had one up in Nashville brought in this weekend on a warrant. He'll be out here in a while. The extra back on the state.
Is there like a reason for that trend that you can pinpoint, or?
Maybe they're working other counties. I said, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they're sneaking through our county.
Yeah,
Our
that's-
big 8 miles down there, they're sneaking through.
7.5 miles.
Yeah. Whoever the engineer was that jogged that road north, he should have gone on past that county line and then jogged it.
Yeah.
Made a lot of trips down there in the middle of the night to accidents, I can tell you that. It's a long trip.
Dawn, would you like us to ask Lisa to come at 9:15 then, or during that section of the meeting? Is
I
that?
thought, number one, I'm not sure if she's here. Number two, I don't know if you guys are ready for that. I mean, or if you guys as a board need to make a decision as to.
Have you already started moving your stuff, or the treasurer's office yet?
The old commissioner's office is empty. And Leah has just brought bids down for me to present to you for the electrical, because she would like to get moving on that, because once I turn over the tax roll to her, then she's done until January or February.
Is she coming down, or do you have the bid, or?
She gave me the bids.
Okay.
So, okay, I feel like I'm losing a mind. And I'm probably going to say this, and then I'll lay my hands on it. But did I give you guys the management's letter for the
Yes.
audit?
Yeah.
Did I just bring it? Okay. I thought I
Yes.
still had it over here. So I guess if you're ready for me, then we can start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And then I can go and check and see if Lisa is there. I just wasn't really sure if that was the direction you guys wanted to go in. Or
I don't know
not.
what else we can do temporarily, is what I'm thinking. And
If we don't do storage, you could probably come down into the computer room, but if you come in and looked at the computer room, just what we took out of the closet, it's pretty full. In fact, I don't think I'm gonna get the other two carts downstairs.
I think we can look at consolidating some space there.
There isn't any office space downtown at all, is there? Small one.
Not that I know of. I know Craig and Mary Ann Sturts have fixed up the one building that they are considering renting, but I don't know what they would rent.
I just feel like the extension doesn't pay rent to us. Do they pay a portion of their utility bills?
They pay for their telephone lines.
Just the telephone. They don't pay anything toward utilities. So no electric usage, water usage, or anything. And they have 3 people in our building. And then we have economic development that doesn't pay any rent, and they use our facility. Do they pay toward their utilities?
They only pay their telephone.
They pay their telephone. Okay, so we're
And the county
covering
provides their
utilities.
internet.
I feel like it's unnecessary for us to put one of our interdepartmental offices off-site and pay additional money to rent a space when we have spaces being rented from us that are unpaid for. And not that I mind them being here, but I think they're just going to have to work with us to consolidate some space, because I don't see why we should burden the taxpayers with paying for renting an additional office space when we're not getting money from the people who are using the facility that aren't under our jurisdiction, basically.
You read that?
I did not.
Emailed it out?
Oh, yes, yeah, I read the email. Do you want to take care of this now?
Whenever you guys are ready.
This is from Lindbergh, Vogel, Pierce, Ferris, the auditing firm. Financial statement. We have fulfilled our responsibilities as set out in the terms of the audit engagement letter dated October 2nd, 2017. Financial statement referred to above is fairly presented in conformity with the regulatory basis of accounting as described above and includes all properly classified funds of the county. We acknowledge our responsibility for the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal control relevant to the preparation and fair presentation of a financial statement that is free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. We acknowledge our responsibility for the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal control to prevent and detect fraud. Significant assumptions we use in making accounting estimates are reasonable. Then it goes on. All material transactions have been recorded in the accounting records and are reflected in the financial statement. We have no knowledge of any fraud or suspected fraud that affects the entity and involves management, employees, or others where fraud could have a material effect on the financial statement. There's a lot of other wording. The county has satisfactory title to all owned assets, and there are no liens or encumbrances on such assets, nor has any asset been pledged as collateral. The county has complied with all aspects of contractual agreements that would have a material effect on the financial statement in the event of non-compliance. That's what it's titled, Management Representation Letter.
It goes in with
You read that?
audit
Yeah, I read
to
it.
the state.
I move we approve. Sign it, whatever we do.
Yeah, signed.
I'll second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Have you had time, Dawn, to read over their suggestions or their comments?
Yes, he talked to me about most of them. I did go down and, did you guys get the one where they suggested that, like, the Register of Deeds
Yeah,
close the account? Okay.
that's what I was wondering about. I
Okay.
did not understand we had departments that had their own checking accounts, I guess.
We do.
I hadn't noticed that, picked that up on that.
Two departments do. The Register of Deeds did, and the District Court. They are recommending that the District Court maintain their separate account because they, like,
Save
if they,
outside funds.
well, when they get their funds in from restitution, they pay it out right away, so they're constantly issuing. Now with Tammy, what she was doing was receiving her money every day. I don't know if she's taking
Making
it
her
to the
own
bank every day.
deposits.
Yeah, and then she would write a check to the treasurer once a month. I did talk to Tammy, and she was A-okay with that.
So does that mean that the treasurer now will be responsible for doing the deposits, or can Tammy deposit into the treasurer's account?
It just means that she will take the checks over to the treasurer's office, and the treasurer
they'll
will
do
do
it.
the deposit, yeah. And like with us, we take our money over once a week. I told Tammy she could decide what was best for her, if every day was
Well, I
best
think-
for her.
Yeah, I think we did, a few years ago, have some problems, and I think we did ask that all of them
At
deposit
least
once a week, so there wouldn't be any cash over the weekends laying around, or checks laying around in the offices.
Yeah. So, and
That's
I did.
why I was a little surprised that was there, because I thought we'd taken care of that.
Yeah, no, she's always had her own separate account, and I did visit with her just a little bit and told her that it was going to come as a suggestion, and she said she was fine with it. So I don't know if you guys want to, ask her to come down and visit with her about it.
I think
Do we need a
to get it
motion?
closed out and do it. I just for
Probably need a motion to close the account, huh?
Well, I don't think so, but it probably would be appropriate if you guys wanted to visit with her
Yeah.
about it. I mean, she is aware and she already knows, but so it would kind of be a redundant conversation. However, it probably would be appropriate. I can't remember what the other
I
recommendations.
can't either off the top. That was the
He
one
had
that
some journal entries, which I
Yeah.
looked at the journal entries, and it almost appeared to me like they put 911 revenues, like we still get a paper check, partly because I refuse to give our account number for them to automatically draw out their payments. So they basically kind of like lease, might you say, the equipment, and so they want to come in and automatically withdraw it out of our accounts. I don't want them to do that. I want to get an invoice and actually pay the bill. And so we kind of cut off our bank accounts access to them, and so they get paper checks. So I think that's what happened there. But I can't remember what the other recommendation
I
was.
can't either, Don. I just
Having more than one staff, but
No, that's
the only way
yeah.
to do that is hire staff.
We've dealt with that every year, and
For what?
there is no way to.
Like there's, they want more than one staff taking care of the deposit, or more than one staff receiving in money. It's hard when you're in an office of one or two.
So
to
I
do
mean, for
that.
your office.
Any or all of the offices in general, I think is what it said.
Yeah.
That one's been on there every year.
It's just a checks and balance thing, but when you have a department with one person, hire somebody to be in
Right,
there.
just to sign check, or to sign.
Duplicate services or.
I think we have a pretty good checks and balance between the clerk and the treasurer, and then we're also looking at the payables every year, every week. So, I think we have a pretty good control over it. I guess probably the hardest one that's maybe not being checked is the receipts, but where they're all coming into the treasurer, I think that's kind of a good check is that we don't have people running downtown and putting money in that we don't know, and we also are trying to keep the money out of the offices, so it's all in the treasurer. I think
Is
we've
she-
tightened that up some.
Is Leanne, is she basically watching the total account balances while you're more monitoring the fund balances? Is that
Correct.
Yeah.
Because she takes care of the banking side, and we
Right.
take care of the funding side.
right?
You're right. So, do you want me to ask Tammy to get on the
I think we
agenda?
probably ought to put her on the agenda next week, just so we're clear with her that
Okay.
I was not aware of that. I just had not picked that up in previous audits.
While we're on that topic, I have a question. Last year for the conference, how did you pay? So like for example, David Doe came in and there's a card that he's going to use. Is that in one particular person's name, or how's that labeled?
Okay, the cards are labeled Lincoln County 1, Lincoln County 2. And then Emergency Management has their own, which is Lincoln County Emergency Management.
Okay.
The Health Department has one that's Lincoln County Health Department. And then I just got one for the Lincoln County Sheriff.
So who pays attention to those funds? You do.
Yes.
And then you have to pay them the statements every month.
Yes, we pay them through accounts payable. With this company, we had two choices. One, issue a generalized and release our liability that if our card was stolen, we can't ask them to remove any of the claims. Or we put them in individual people's names. I didn't want to have to mess with individual names. So each of the departments that have credit cards, and I added the sheriffs because they had some instances where they had to go out and their person had to pay.
To buy something on the spot. Yeah.
Or they had to buy gas because they had to go take a prisoner someplace. Yeah. And so it was out of their pocket, and they've been asking for a while. So while we were having an issue with one of the other cards, I just went ahead and added it. But we make them sign off on a form that says that they must return the card with the receipts, and they must track, and they are responsible for any charges that are taken. If the card is stolen, they're supposed to notify us immediately. If they choose not to do that, they're signing that they're responsible for the charges. It has
Are these all
so
in one
far.
account?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have one.
So there are 5 cards and it's one account.
We have one account with, it's called First Bank Card, and when we got it, it was through the Sylvan State Bank at the time. And they were the only credit card company that we could find that would extend us credit.
Okay.
So
Who's it now?
it's
Through
First.
Bennington?
Well, it's through the First Bank Card is who it's through,
Okay.
but they're the ones that facilitated the application process. So. And it's one massive account. We're allotted, I want to say $10,000, and then I have to allocate the $10,000 across the cards.
So let's say if you receive a bill for the month and all 5 cards have random charges on them, are you pulling from separate funds to pay that bill?
They send us, yes, they send us a separate credit card for each, or a separate statement for each card that we have. Then we balance, so if...
So you know that you can pull from the health department's funds $396.32. You can
Yes.
pull that when you write your overall check for the whole thing. You know which fund to deduct from according to each card usage.
Yes.
Okay, that's
So,
helpful
like
for
the
you, then you don't have
department,
to figure
yeah.
it out.
The department will bring us the invoice, and then they'll say they used their credit card on it, and then we
Okay.
code it in. And a lot of times we're prepaying the credit cards and very rarely have a balance. Just the balance occurs as they're processing the
Well, as long
payment.
as we're not accruing interest, I don't see a problem with making the payments every month.
That,
If we ever have.
Yeah.
aren't there a limit on those? Don't we have a limit on
Yes,
those cards?
so card 1 has a $3,500 limit. Card 2 has a $1,500 limit. So we kind of have to figure out what people are buying in order to tell
How
them
much they
which
might
card to
need.
get. Yeah. The health department
Who stores those?
emergency.
You do?
Those 2 cards,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
So they have to get them from me.
Yeah.
The emergency management and health department each have a $1,000 balance, and the sheriff's department I put $1,500 on. So then they could also use it for hotel
I just wondered
rooms.
how that worked when I was calling about staying at the conference. They were assuming that it would be in an individual person's name, because I said, well, it's not in my name, so
Yeah.
it's under Lincoln County. Okay.
We have a resolution for the solid waste disposal management.
And that is that Doug McKinney, that multiple county management plan that North Central Regional Planning Commission takes care of.
So what are we agreeing to?
That our plan is update, it's like a regular, I don't think it's annual, but it might be biannual that they send to the state.
Continuing to have local solid waste collected and transported, all the while encouraging reduction and recycling of solid waste in similar fashions as they have in the prior year. We agreed to accept the North Central Kansas Solid Waste Management Committee report, which contains very few changes, it says. Did they send us a report?
I think they sent it to Carrie and he looked it over. I want to say the only thing that he had maybe asked was to increase the tonnage on construction demolition that was reported.
So is this coordinating the charges for each of these counties? Cloud, Ellsworth, Jewel, Lincoln, Mitchell, and Republic.
Just, I think you're required to belong to a waste compact or something like that. Government stuff. And they do it as a regional deal so everyone doesn't have to have their own.
I'll move to approve resolution 1819.
I'll second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Do file safe stuff.
Yes.
Are you ready to do that?
Are you guys ready to do that?
Well, I think we're gonna do it. We
I
better
think
do
it's
it.
agreeable because the district court is going to manage their own, correct? Or are we paying for?
I told her if she was expecting county general to pay for it, then she needed to get on the agenda and come and ask you guys, and she hasn't done that yet. So I'm assuming that she thinks she has enough funds within her funds.
I
to do
thought
that.
she said.
Yeah,
they did.
I thought they were going to take care of that, and then we also discussed with the county attorney that we would provide this particular set, and then whatever she needed for her small office, she was going to manipulate as far as what we already have, and maybe a few other things that she can find. But I think that's fair.
The only question, I guess, would be if it's okay, we'll sign off on them. I don't know if I have Jennifer's, but I could give her.
I still don't understand the bills
permission.
though, because that freight, if there's a separate freight charge on each of our orders, I don't understand why that can't be consolidated.
Okay, that, he added when you order off the GSAs, you can add different mechanisms. His bid already includes the freight in it. And, but on the GSAs, they don't. All they do is include the
What's a
actual
GSA?
cost, that
They don't
government
know where it's
service
gonna get shipped to. so-
contract. They only, so that top part is the price
So
that
that's
he
for
can
him
see.
to receive the materials.
Well, yes, if he was gonna contract out and do this GSA pricing, this is what the GSA says he can charge. This is additional things that you can charge, but it's based upon your company and what you charge. But this is the equipment itself. So he was trying to show you a comparison of,
What is the purpose of that? Because they're saying that because he is doing a bid for a government entity, that they're giving him a foundational bid to work off of?
no, the GSA pricing is only for you guys to see that his equipment, his pricing is comparable.
It's comparable.
Because
to
I
the
don't have another-
pricing.
I don't have another business to go to be able to get a competitive bid.
Okay.
So we were just kind of trying to show you, because if we went to another business that contracted in the state of Kansas, but there are none, we'd have to go, I want to say that they said the next place was Missouri has a person. But then you're going to have shipping charges additional on top of that, or traveling charges for them
Okay.
to come put it together. So I asked him to include that, so that way you would.
Okay, I understand what you're saying now. I thought that was his individual shipping charge to bring all the materials here, and I thought, why wouldn't he put them on the same truck?
No,
Okay.
no.
Do you want a motion to approve all these in one shot, or do you want to do them all separately, or how do you want to do it?
Well, you could do the county attorneys in one, and then I guess, or if you decide what you want for the potential human resource office, or if you just want to wait on that one. I don't know what you guys want to do on that.
How much was the difference between the one where he could use it as or someone could use it as a backed piece toward the audit, toward the public, like, entrance? Is it like $1,000 difference, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like 4,943 compared to 4,181.
700.
I don't know if they would necessarily need a counter.
Because you
Personally,
figure if they're having someone come in, it's to sit down and have a conversation. It's not really to just
they're not seeing the
waiting at the
general
counter
public.
to ask for, yeah, we should save the money for now. And
The only thing would be is if they had a person come in to pick up applications. But even if they're coming to pick up applications, I wouldn't know why.
I would like one clarification. We purchased this stuff out of our capital improvement fund. It stays with the courthouse. Like, no matter what happens in the future, just because we purchased it on behalf of the office of the county attorney doesn't mean it goes anywhere with the county attorney necessarily. I mean, in my mind, that's why we amended the improvement plan.
So, you want to do the clerk of the court, right?
No.
Well, I think, is that county attorney?
Well, I don't.
I didn't think we had a clerk of the
Oh, we don't have one for her.
I think the clerk was just gonna pay to have them moved and capped, right?
I thought we had a bid for that, wasn't it?
Is that county attorney or is that clerk? I scribbled on the clerk, district court, but I could have.
Oh, it is district court.
I
Did she
could have
bring
just
that
been
down to us?
scribbling.
Yeah, district court is $3,938.
Maybe Jennifer did that to us?
See what I got here.
Yeah, well, yeah, at some point we got it
Here's the county
with
attorney.
the other ones.
Hold on, I'm assuming that
I
they're.
think that's the county attorney.
I mean, my concern is, doesn't the district court already own they purchased those? We did not.
Correct.
So then it's on them. I mean, that's their property to maintain.
Yeah, just that county general paid for them, so they're
They already
actually
did?
county. Yeah, because district court is county funds. So it's just a matter of, if for some reason we take it out of her fund and she ends up going over, you're gonna know that she went over her budget because of the equipment. Last year she didn't go over budget, so I don't.
Well, and I thought some of our conversation about their budget is that they had left a larger gap for purchases that we were talking about. They may do computer purchases, et cetera, but
Well, the other problem we have is that we're going to use part of the district court's files, right? We're not moving them, some of them, right?
no,
They're moving.
they're keeping all their units, but they're going to be housing them in Jennifer's office.
They're moving.
Well, I thought we're going to move that one,
No, they're
leave
gonna
it
move.
there for her.
No,
They're gonna move.
no, she's getting her own set. They're still using all the ones they have, but they're just dispersing them out of the
But they have to
jury
put
room
sides on a couple of them.
So this is just basically to move them, right?
and cap them.
There's-
Cap the
Yes.
ends.
Yeah.
There's some side pieces and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
6
the
if you include that. separate.
$3,900, that's what that is?
Yes, so that includes,
$3,938.
Do those have backs on them?
no,
So it's backing them and capping the ends.
no, that, they won't need any, it will just be the caps on the
Just be the
ends.
cap.
So the cabinets that they have to separate, because you buy like an add-on and then normally they can take your cap and move it out and then,
Yeah, but they're not going together.
no,
Yeah.
they're gonna have to make two. So my understanding was it was two caps.
Relocate times 2.
Yeah.
Dang, that's expensive.
Well, I'll move that we have the files for the district court moved for $3,938 in file safe.
Paying it out of their fund.
What's that?
With
Well,
the
I assume
payment.
it will be
Yeah.
charged to their fund, yeah,
Okay.
to the district court.
Okay.
I was
Second.
second. Oh, you
Sure,
got a
no,
second? Go ahead.
Terry's got it. You beat me to it.
You can second if you want to. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, Jennifer's is 2, the first one, and then the second page. One is the desk and the other,
Is the files?
one
The
is the
cabinet.
desk and the cabinet, and the other one is the counter. Actually, this is the desk and the counter. This is the ×2 unit.
Yeah. So we got a 6,718 and a 2,655, right?
Yes.
Are we going to do the HR as well? Because we could bundle those together and pay them out
I
of
think
capital.
well,
department.
let's do them separate. I'd prefer to do them separate.
I think we should do it. We should do it separately.
I move to purchase the bid from File Safe.
Is there any further discussion?
For the courthouse, do you need specifics there for the courthouse county attorney office?
I'll add
Yeah.
that. And then I'll put the
Did you second
total
it, Terry?
amount.
Did you second that or did
I
She
made the
moved.
motion.
I second.
I? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay. And then it's just a matter of what you guys want to do for human resources. Do you want to do something? Do you want to wait?
Well, we're going to do something.
They're gonna need files.
We're gonna
I mean,
do something,
and
so-
eventually, a lot of files because it's per employee, so.
Regardless of who's in there. we're
Yeah,
gonna
and
do
we had till
something.
October 1st, right?
Did
So,
he say the increase was going to be what, 10%?
Yeah.
at least.
I thought Jennifer said he told her 20%.
Right.
Yeah, I think we should
That's
just,
another $1,000.
Yeah, I think we do it.
Okay. Do you want to
Yes,
do
we
the
can
back?
always use it.
Not with the back,
Not
so
with
the
the back.
4181.
We can add it back later if we need to.
And then that way they can have a counter space.
is that one full section like what's already upstairs? Is that purchasing one section or two?
It would be purchasing 2, so it would look just like this and it would have a
But it's
counter.
not the full
No.
height.
The $3,080 one would be the full height, and then we would have to figure out some place to put their cabinet. So it's just a matter of, do you guys
Well, that
think?
gives them space to store,
I
yeah,
think
And
it
to
needs to be a
work on.
cabinet to start with.
Okay.
yeah. Hopefully it'll all
Or-
fit in there and then they can use smaller
And-
If we
filing
need more, we
systems
can
for it.
find something, surely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the 4181.
And that will be secure, right?
Yes, but they both lock.
Okay.
And then he has filing storage on both.
I think that's what we
He or
need to
she
be
on
sure
both
we have
sides.
something that is secured.
Yep.
I'd move we purchase for the human resource.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
The only thing I see problem with these nursing home bills is I don't know where the other $350 is. We're paying 2 different firms to test or to inspect or backflow. I thought they were all the same, but they're not. There's 2 of them that are $350, and then there's this other one that's $600 or $975.
That's because that's the fire alarm and this is the sprinkler.
Yeah.
So this is testing the
But no,
alarm?
but that one says sprinkler too. You're right. That one
It
says
says the
sprinkler.
annual test inspection of the fire alarm system.
So
I think that's the
one is a
alarm
sprinkler
system.
and one's, oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe.
I see they're 2 different companies.
They're not though. They just have a different heading.
No,
on
this one is. This one, the 900 one, is a different company than
Oh,
those 2.
for
I
the
think
alarm,
one of
okay.
those is the statement and the other one
Yeah.
is the
Yeah,
invoice.
one's a statement,
So
one's an invoice.
Okay. All right, I just couldn't,
I probably should pay more attention. I just print those out as they come in.
that's all
Well, you
right.
already gave us.
No,
Didn't realize one was alarm and one was
That's fine as
sprinkler.
long as we don't pay it twice.
So I will stop and let Michael and them.
Okay.
And then we'll come back to My apologies. Kinda forgot my phone got on the agenda, so. Sorry, guys.
No problem.
Yeah, okay, we're ready for you guys, I guess. We're not done with her, but we'll come back to her. She was actually after you, and we just
Good morning.
snuck her in while we had time.
Understandable. Wood box up on X-ray that we're replacing, the double steel arch is supposed to be delivered tomorrow. We're going to swing them in, set them in place, and get started finishing up that. So hopefully the roadway and everything should be open for fall harvest here. Like I mentioned last time, the OS 87 L&M is going to try getting done this fall. Is there any way at all you guys would be willing for me to visit with L&M again and see what their price would be to drive piling over here on 105 while they are here?
I think so.
We should be able to, if we're able to work with them, and this is your guys' decision, if we were able to mobilize them with our equipment to bring them on site from one bridge to the other, if they so desire to have us help do that, is that something you guys would be willing to do to
Oh, I
help with
think
the
so,
costs and
too.
everything?
Well,
Absolutely.
they're already traveling, yeah. Do we have a bid on that from anyone for any?
Yes, I had
We already have a
bids from previous with, their
Year or
mobilization
so,
from, it's probably been close to a year, I guess.
Yeah,
We had it from
well, as
what,
long as it
Huskers.
doesn't cost more than that,
Yeah, as long as they're here,
which it shouldn't, if
They're
they're not
It
calculating
shouldn't.
all that additional
within
travel.
5 or 6 miles, so.
If it'll fit into their schedule and
Yep.
everything else. We have the pre-conference this Friday in Salina, so I was going to try visiting with Kurt at that time, if he's available, while he's there to visit a little bit about it. If not, I'll get him on the phone here shortly and see if there's any way that we can work that in and get the cost down just a little bit.
Now, they think they'll have that bridge done before winter?
I'm guessing it's going to go through the winter ways. I'm not 100% sure their timeline yet until we get a chance to visit.
Yeah, we get a start date, we probably ought to kind of notify a couple of those people up there that use that road, Sheldon's, and give them a little heads up that it's gonna be closed.
Okay.
Who's your previous bid from for that driving piling?
It was L&M and Husker Steel both put a bid in.
Okay. So you have one of their previous bids to go by? One of
Yes.
their own?
Yes.
That's good.
And, 105 is one of those bridges that, Bob and I are contemplating pretty hard on whether or not we're going to leave it open during fall harvest or if we're going to barricade it off, just because it is a 3-ton bridge, and I know that loads greater than 3 ton also travel. And the odds of it happening at that time are a lot greater than any other day.
It is posted though.
Yeah, oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Diesel pickup weighs 3 tons.
Just
So-
make sure we keep it posted.
Yes. And I'm approaching the seeding time for the line gravel pit. And the area in red is previously grassed pasture ground where we mined at. And the area in black, there's additional 2.5 acres that we mined on there that used to be farm ground that they're wanting to leave as grass. Do we want to just go ahead and include that in our cost of reclamation to go
I
ahead
would
and
say.
seed? It's an additional 2.5 acres, so it looks like it'll be a total of 15 acres that we will be seeding.
I would say we.
I think so. Let's do it.
Do we do that, or do you contract that?
I contract that.
Do you get bids, or?
Actually, I don't. I don't know of any
Yeah.
others even in the area.
Local
There's a
guy.
local guy here from Lincoln that does that, so.
Who is it?
Levine Seeding and Fencing.
He goes all over.
Yeah, I would say if we dug it up, we do what they want with it. It would probably be cheaper to seed it than to try to.
2 more acres.
It was farm ground, but I guess they don't want to farm it. So I will include that when I have a chance to visit with Mr. Levine about that.
Otherwise,
Those are-
the dirt work's done, we just need
Yeah,
to trade
we just
it.
need to seed it here. This should be our final week of 410s for this year. Starting next month, we'll go back to our 5-day work week.
The days are getting shorter.
They are.
They sure are as cloudy as it's dark at one time.
Yeah, it was this morning.
All the things I used to do in the light, I'm doing in the dark.
Sure. That's all I have for right now.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot other. We've been spotting some road rock around some places that are bad spots. Some new gravel we put in and trying to catch up on some of them. Like I say, getting ready for that up there, and right now they're out spot gravel in some places up south of Selden, between there and Vesper, up in there, Fred and Larry, work on some of them spots are over there.
Where are we pulling that from?
What's that?
Where's the gravel coming
I think we're gonna take it out, Wolf Creek.
Wolf Creek.
Yeah, we thought we kinda got the crossing fixed up, so he wanted in there to plant wheat and stuff, so we kinda got it fixed. While it's fixed, we'll go ahead and haul a little out of there in case it washes out, and then we can go back over the labs and haul out of there if we need to. Like that,
Yeah, you might as well get in there and get it while we can.
so, yeah.
It'll wash out again, so.
Yeah. And other than that, like I say, it's normal. I've been trying to get some mowing done now. Caught up on their blading from everybody kind of being off doing the oil and session here. So trying to catch up on all that now. So we're pretty well gaining on most of it. Yeah. And that's, like I say, working on that pipe up there, bridge. So that's about all I got on that.
Are you done working on elk? Is that finished?
Yeah, Red Rock through there, yeah.
And
Oh, they may do some more, but right now it is pretty much till we get some time. We may go back in later on and work on it a little more.
Okay.
have you guys used any more of that crushed concrete anywhere? Or just those first 2 initial spots we tried out?
Oh,
We've used it on a few projects, no large projects.
Say, I saw a loader up there here a while back.
Yeah.
Well, I got a note from when I had asked you guys to try it out. I don't know what road that is right now. It's not Elk, is it? It's on this far end by coming up to 60th it would be. Where was that? By the Highland Dam, but then down to the south there.
yeah.
I think it was, let's see.
Probably
Maybe it
Colt
was
Drive on that dirt road going
Colt.
back to the east.
Yeah, maybe it was Colt. But I got a note about that, and they said it's been working well. So if you have more washouts like that, I mean, it seems to at least put down a base on dirt. I know we're not using it for gravel topping, but
Yeah,
we
it's,
paid a lot of money for it. We should at least put it to use.
Yeah, we kind of been trying to use that mainly for places like that, bad mud holes and stuff.
Right. So when I was out there looking at the Highland Dam, there's on some of those rock ledges, there's an awful lot of, what do I want to say, large rock that really doesn't need to be on the road and is just getting scraped back and forth by the loaders. And here we are purchasing brand new loaders. What do you suggest? I mean, why have we not collected that or moved it or crushed it or?
Well, you just rock it comes out, the rain washes all the fines out, and then when they blade it, well, they keep getting more big rock and stuff. And so we're kind of holding off on that. We're talking about the dam, where we're going to close the road and what, one thing and another, so.
I'm
if
saying,
we're
what do
gonna
you
close,
have
we'll try it.
intentions on doing with it? It's on either side of the road and it's being bladed back and forth and back. I mean, we're talking some rocks this big, all in this area that should either be hauled away or done something with. I mean, there's enough.
If we're going to fix that, we'll try to run the roller or stuff over and break it up and put it back in the road and stuff.
Well, there's a pretty good base on that road because it's all a rock ledge coming up from the dam. I mean, that all is its own rock bed, but the stuff that has popped out and been rolling around, it's not good for the equipment. I know that much.
It's one of those old off-roads that, like I say, don't get all the
Do you have a
attention.
collection of that anywhere that you've ever, no?
No, we just put it right back in the road. We don't haul it off or use it unless we have a whole bunch of it or something like that. Put some in a wash hole or something right along that road.
Well, I do think we also need to talk about the Highland Dam, what our intentions are, because the inspection's next year.
It got pushed back an additional year due to the classification
2020?
Classification change. I
2020.
believe that's what it is.
Okay.
An additional year back, it went from a Class A to a Class B.
Because,
I think the way I understand it, the number of residents that will be affected. I don't know if some of the residents that were once affected no longer have somebody living in them. If that is the case,
or like maybe proximity to, I know some of those houses are empty that are closer to it. But I was led to believe by the landowner that some of his original paperwork says that it was even a potential that the wash would reach clear to Sylvan with the city.
I'm not an
The river.
engineer when it comes to those hydraulics. Maybe when it was brand new and it
Yeah.
stored a lot of water,
Yeah.
that could be a possibility.
Yeah.
As of right now, I don't believe that
Well, it's got to be silted in quite a bit. I mean,
it's,
I never saw it obviously in its day, but just,
yeah, me neither.
yeah.
Just the stories I've heard of people skiing and stuff like that, there's not a chance you'll
Right.
ever be able to do that today.
Right. Well, then I guess we still have a year, but it should at least be something we look at in the near future. Because if there is work that needs to be done, it will have to be either contracted or scheduled in somehow. I mean,
Yes,
and the bigger the trees get, the more work it is, so.
I agree. And with the outlet too, if it starts getting some flows through it, it's just going to cause our problem to be more work when it gets here. But some of that stuff with the state, I don't know if I totally agree with as far as wave action and placing riprap along the whole face of the dam. They don't even do that when they build new dams now that I'm aware of. Maybe they do, but it wasn't in the original design.
Well, it's not very active. I mean, that's kind of the thing, but
That there would come as a pretty large expense to the county if we had to face that whole face of the dam.
are they saying it won't pass inspection if we don't do that?
I believe it's recommended maintenance. I would
But
have
we may
to
be
do-
able to get away with doing something as simple as replacing that outlet pipe as a first initial, to get it, to keep it.
Potentially.
Well, the big discrepancy to me is what we weren't told from the state when you guys did your inquiry, and what supposedly the state told the landowner, is that if that dam is to be deemed unfit, someone is going to be responsible for breaking it down. Because if it's not going to exist and pass inspection, then it needs to be put back to its original landscape. And that, whether we're definitely involved because we have property line through there. So it's a huge undertaking, which seems to be more of a massive expense to do that, to break the dam down, than it would be to dig up that pipe and fix this faces.
Except it's a one-time expense. It's not a year after year after year expense.
Are you talking about the expense of the inspection?
Inspections and maintenance.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
There'll
but you're
be
talking
maintenance-
hundreds
there'll
of
be
thousands
maintenance
versus
on
a
it
couple thousand.
Forever.
I mean, $1,000 for 100 years versus $100,000 in a year. I mean,
Potential. You know, I don't know what they're gonna require it to look like when we're done. You know, they'd have to come engineer it and shoot some shots, you know, it might be just as simple as leveling the dam and pushing it to the north to fit the contour, you know.
well, and like I
And
said,
that
I'm just going by
expense
what
will
was
not
told
be
to me
huge. Yes.
that was because the landowner had been in contact with the state. So what the state told you and what the state told him are not exactly the same things, but this was in 2 different time periods as well, because all of his paperwork is 10, 15 years old, so.
But I also think it was the fact that if our road isn't there, it's not our problem.
Correct.
So if the road's closed, it's not our problem. It wasn't our dam to start with.
That's true, but we definitely participated in the making of it.
No, we
I mean,
didn't.
yeah, we did. She brought in the pictures, remember?
There was a little bit of cost share the county moved
Equipment, we brought manpower.
very little amount of dirt in the gist of it, I believe, is the way I understand it.
Well, I just think
But
that.
it wasn't a county project, it was in kind that the landowners requested of the county, and at the time, the county did do stuff like that for people.
They used to pull out combines, they
Oh.
used to pull out tractors that were stuck, they
Blade
used to do all
private
kinds of
driveways,
things.
you know, there was a lot of things that used to get done that are no longer allowed.
Well, to clarify, I'm not in favor of incurring additional expenses to the county. However, we don't know what the potential value of the dam is in the future because storm cycles, I mean, a lot of people say it's much drier now than it's been decades ago, and vice versa. And before that, it may have even been drier. So we don't know what its potential value is to keep it. And I don't think that should just be dumped on the landowner since it's one landowner and there's a discrepancy there as to what even needs to be done to keep it maintained. And there are several other landowners that, pass through there for access, so I can see that we would have a lawsuit on our hands, I'm sure. Which may be more expensive than just taking care of it.
Okay. Nothing else?
I don't believe so. Well, you all have a wonderful week.
You too.
Thank you.
Yesterday I didn't see any rain in the forecast. This morning I see
Your
5
wife
days of rain in the
Yeah,
forecast.
got her home Friday afternoon.
Showing a little bit tomorrow about the time we're supposed to have the crane in, so
Okay.
hopefully
Well, I
it's
was
just
gonna call
a
you last night,
flash,
now.
no lightning or anything.
I got doing something else late. And I thought, hell, maybe I'll stop today or call her tonight.
Yeah.
Michel was probably.
Yeah.
Would you like to speak to Elisa if she's here today? What do you want to do about that? Because we are to Elisa. I mean, we are going to have to,
If she's here. I don't know if she's here.
I'll go find out. But we're going to have to find a situation that's suitable for moving the emergency management office.
Dawn, do you have more?
I
to
do.
discuss with us? I guess
I
we
have
need
so much that you'll get some.
we're gonna need a short exec.
Yes, it's in the time.
Alexis is gonna go check to see if we can please
If we what?
Elisa was here.
Oh, okay.
Locator?
No, she's not in today, sorry. Totally forgot. I did two things I was gone and I forgot what the first one was. She's not here today. Could we ask to put her on the agenda for next week?
Okay.
Do you have more besides exec or?
Yes.
Before we go into that, the one thing I was thinking also, we could, if we wanted, okay, if we're gonna put two people together, one of which is Elisa, who needs her own space with a closed door sometimes, if we don't disturb this hallway piece, I was also thinking economic development could move into the cross office. You could basically switch their offices. Leave that front corner piece in the southeast for David. Put economic development in that office over there, which is slightly smaller than hers now, but that allows two separate rooms with a door in between on this west side for the extension office.
Do, two of those people aren't here full-time, are they?
For extension.
Yeah. They're just here part of the time.
Do you see what I'm saying though about having a door in between? If they switched hallways, there would be a door in between for them. They're already side by side now, but that door in between is just a closet.
But I
So-
think that whether they're not here all the time, I don't think it matters that much.
For her to have a closed off space.
She would have one available to her. I mean, couldn't that Elisa go over here and the girl that uses this part-time go over in the other office?
I think.
Yeah. I just think that
Couple days a
there's a lot of space in there. I mean, we have these corner, what do they call this? Road.
I call them rotundas. but
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's what they are.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what. But you know, we have two people. We have one person in an office that's this big. A lot of times. I know there's some part-time help that comes in, but
If they were there full-time, it'd be different. But they're a couple days a week, I don't see.
well, I mean, let's be honest. There are people that work in cubicles, so we have to have some kind of compromise here.
So maybe option one would be Elisa move to Ashley and Ashley move in with Marcy. Option two could be,
Kelly go across the hall. They both come across the hall. Either way, we need that front. I think that front corner room is just barely big enough to get all of his equipment in. The only question is, is there any kind of special electrical need that would have to be adapted for that? You know, to handle his draw, whatever that is. I don't know how intense that is, but,
I'm not sure.
okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
but-
that's okay. Well, while we're
Wanted
on
to
that
finish that
subject,
thought.
here's the bids that Leanne had gotten for the electrical. I think the one guy is from Ellsworth and the other is Precision Electric. from
What did they come up with that needs done?
I'll let you read because I'm not really sure.
Install one Cat 5 data jack in the new driver's license area, which would be the southeast corner, from existing rack. Also includes one extra Cat 5 between rack and driver's license area for future. Wire only, $480. That's Precision. How do you say that? Schoit? Coits out of Salina. Run conduit from panel in basement, through basement, up through 4H room, ceiling, into floor in commissioner's office. Change over wire mold on east wall, run wire mold up wall, and install two duplex receipts on their own breaker. Run Cat 6 down from server room, through basement, into 4H room, through ceiling, up into commissioner's office. Run wire mold up north wall and install box with two data ports. $1,078. But these aren't the same work description.
Do what?
So they're not doing the same, these bids aren't for the same work, though.
Well, the difference is you have one that knows the building, knows what he can do without doing all that other stuff, and the other one,
So Precision was basically data only, and they felt like the electrical was good enough.
Okay.
I'm gonna assume Boyd's was,
These were this was adding a new breaker for that whole room, is what I'm getting out of the read of it. And Cat 6 and Cat 5, I honestly don't know.
those
enough.
are the networking cables.
I mean,
So
is
that's-
5 big enough? I'm assuming Cat 6 is bigger, that's why they're doing, one's Cat 5, one's Cat 6. I don't even know what the difference is, to be honest, but.
Unless Cat
And
6
these are
is
adding
good.
I'm assuming that
two big electric
is
receptacles.
receptacle, but they just have recept. So this is adding no electrical changes, just installing the data jacks, 2 of them.
Well, they were gonna pull
Yeah.
2 lines.
Does she haven't, yeah, did she say?
She didn't, but all I know is she told you guys here last time that
She thought the
they felt
electrical
like they
was,
were, yeah, because they felt like they were on different circuits. Each outlet was on a different circuit.
Well, then I say we accept Precision's bid for half the price.
I'll say,
I move to accept the bid from Precision Electrical for $480.
I'll still second.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This is the 2 letters. I'm sorry, I should have made copies, but I feel like sometimes I waste paper. Those are the 2 annual letters for Jerry for the grant application. One is authorizing him as the authorized signer of the grant. The other one is the budget, how much we committed funds to for their next grant cycle.
We didn't change their budget, did we?
No.
There's a level that we have to maintain to get the match, correct?
Yes. I think technically we're supposed to do 22,000.
So it says the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners will ensure that $20,000 in matching funds is made available to meet any equipment needs that should arise in the future. So, are we paying him as a county employee?
Yes, he is as a county employee, because we had a federal auditor. They used to not be.
I remember you explaining that.
Yeah.
So, but this says $20,000 in matching funds for equipment needs. Is any of that going toward salary or pay?
Well, yes.
Does that
And
need change?
maybe that does.
To meet any
It-
expense?
Operating
or-
needs, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the 20,000 little one.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other one is just the signing authorization, right?
Yes. He's the authorized signer. I would move that we sign the letter authorizing Jerry to be the authorized signer of the documents.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oop.
Alexis, you said.
Yes.
So I'm gonna change to be any operational needs instead of equipment.
Yes, I think.
That's fine.
While I go grab that, I'll let you guys, this is the Recreation Board, and I apologize, I've kind of have been delaying that. So that was the resignation of Elizabeth. Here are the two letters that I received anyways, that I received for people that would like to be on the board. The three women that she recommended, one of them never got back with me. The other two said they weren't interested at that time. So, anyways, there's that, and I will be right back to that.
Are there, do we have any regional requirements for the rec board positions? Do we have any regional requirements for the rec board seats?
No. They just want one appointed or recommended by the county commission.
So we recommended Elizabeth Sheldon last time.
It's just an at-large position. They have, like, schools and city.
Okay.
And
So we have Stephen Weber and Jim Metz. This says Stephen Weber lives in Lincoln, Bridge Crew at Lincoln County Highway Department. 3 boys aged 10, 8, and 14 months. 2 older boys are active in rec sports. After coaching for the rec for many years, I feel that my experience will be useful for the board. I want to be a part of not only maintaining what we have, but also building a stronger program for our children. To the Board of Lincoln County Commissioners, letter of interest to serve on the Lincoln Rec Commission. Dear Commissioners, I wish to express my interest in serving as the county representative on the Lincoln Recreation Commission. I have a passion for sports and youth development and wish to donate my time and knowledge to helping the Recreation Department achieve its goals for our county as a whole. I have been a supporter of our Recreation Department since moving back to Lincoln in 2015 as a coach and parent. I would very much look forward to the opportunity to work with our current board members and our director to creating a fun and competitive environment for our county youth that engages them to be active and participate. I grew up in Lincoln and participated in youth sports. We never had a rec department, and I am so happy to see the opportunity that my kids have to play such sports as soccer, volleyball, kickball, and many of the other activities that were not available to me while growing up in Lincoln. Currently, I work as an assistant trust officer at Citizens State Bank and Trust Company in Lincoln. I am also the head junior high boys basketball coach for Lincoln Junior Senior High School. Serve on the Bud Finch Memorial Community Theater Board and the Chamber of Commerce. I would be happy to answer any questions with regard to my background of character. Thank you for your consideration as a possible recommendation to serve on the Lincoln Recreation Commission. Kind regards, Jim Metz.
I would move to recommend Jim Metz to the rec board.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I move we sign the letter to authorize 20,000 county funds to use public transportation.
For operational needs.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Buzz, letters for the auditor, record of creation. Okay, so I guess it's back to kind of. So I meant to grab the spreadsheet that the state sends, but basically what I did was took the state rates, and after I reread that again, they were giving us what their January rates were, and what their January through June rates were, and what their July through August rates were.
So these are the same on both rows, but the column is each
The-
6 months.
Yes.
Okay.
So what I did was I added up all the costs, and so that is what the monthly cost would be, where the employee's discount would land for the first 6 months, for the second 6 months. And anything that is asterisk means that if we charge them the 10%, it exceeds the minimum amount that the state says we must contribute, so we can't charge them any more than that based upon the contract.
Okay, so when you have the column that says employee share, whatever the total is minus the employee share is the county share,
Yes.
which is not itemized, but that's how we figure our cost.
Yes.
Okay.
And what I did was I put that in the brown column. When
Out
you
here?
get over to the side, what I did was put the average monthly costs. So I took the 6 months plus the 6 months, and I divided it by 2, because I didn't know how you guys wanted to charge. Do you guys want to set a premium in January and be done all year? If that is the case, then this is the amount that we would charge the employees on the right-hand side, and then that would be what the county costs would be.
But you have the employee share going up by, is that the 10%? Is that why?
Yes, well, we said we would charge them the 10% of the plan. So let's just look at the left-hand column is January through June. So you have the employee share and the discount, and the difference between the total would be what the county cost is. And I did calculate that one out.
But when they get their discount, we don't have to pay the difference in that. That's just absorbed by the company.
The company, yes,
Yeah.
reduces the bill.
So we don't, I'm saying if they get their discount, that's on them.
Yes.
But our share is still, let's use the numbers then. Okay, so the employee only plan A, the total is $815.89. So 10% is $81.59 for the employee, which leaves us to pay $754.55.
And that number there is
That's the average of,
for the
because
entire
it's going to
year.
go up by, let's see, it went from 815 to 838 and some change. So their share goes from 81.59 to 83.84, and you're just averaging out for the total year what we would be paying then monthly per employee, which would be $754.55.
Yes. I thought maybe that might be the easier way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When I ran the numbers, we're off a couple of cents, but I thought that might be the easier thing, is to say to employees, this is what your insurance is going to cost you next year.
So what we could do then is make the proclamation that we will just go ahead and pay that $754.55 every month the whole year. That way theirs doesn't change. Do you see what I'm saying? If they can just start paying the $82.71 in January instead of the $81.59, and that way they won't see an increase in June or July.
Correct. Correct.
I say that's probably the best way. That way they can count on their paycheck being the same.
Yes.
I mean, it's a few dollars, but still.
I mean, I wouldn't want you to move to say the exact dollar amount, because we don't know what the exact dollar amount is, because they still have options.
But just that
within
we're going to
this.
pay the 10% on the average payment per month
Yeah.
for the whole year of 2019.
And then I figure I can give them this is what your insurance will cost based upon the plan, and then they can choose which plan they want to.
So question,
Okay.
back to when Deborah was here and made up a spreadsheet, and we calculated for the budget based on her using the highest plan at the family rate per employee, save a few that we knew weren't going to do that just because they don't have families or whatever. But do we have that in the budget now for that price? Because we didn't talk about this difference.
I barely got this together to give you.
I know, I'm sorry,
So
it's a lot.
I did not get set down with the budget, and again, with the budget, it kind of depends on what plan everybody chooses.
I know.
But
How many
I
vacant,
can,
went
how many
based on the
vacant
highest.
positions and how long they're vacant?
yeah, but I can.
But
I
let's just
can-
say, I mean, you can round off the numbers. We have 20, 64, 20, 64.
I don't think she did everybody as a family, though. I think she
No.
only did the vacant
She
positions.
did exactly what they did last year, I think.
Yeah.
She told me she
Right.
figured it.
So, like, I couldn't take the number and times by the
I think the
overall.
only problem we will have if we're in full employment for 12 months, and then we may be really,
How many employees do we have? What's the number?
We won't have full employment for 12
well, I don't
months.
think we will.
We have 70 full-timers, and I believe
never
there's
have.
5 that do not take health insurance.
But we figure a plan for them anyway.
So you're saying
Yeah.
65?
Yes.
And what did we put in, 1.1? Is that what we changed it, 1.1 million? Is that what we had it set at? That would be this year's though, right?
He has. I
Oh,
think
that's the budget, he
2019.
holds a budget.
You've got the budget.
$1.15.
Okay. So,
The only thing that I could say I could do is when I do payroll this month, figure out what plan everybody has and identify it by a little check mark, and then I
just
can
try to
kind
use
of tell
these
you.
numbers to add that up.
Yeah.
Did you see that J is more expensive than A in this year?
On the family plan, or?
Yeah,
Or
well,
in
the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, no, not the employee and spouse, but the employee only. I guess it's not for the family.
I don't remember what plan J was. I know 2 of the plans have HSAs, and so because they have HSAs, there's a certain portion of the premium that goes into the employee's account. But what I did was I added that number to the health plan because they bill us for that. So
That
So
could very well be what the
I'll
deal is
double
on
check
that too.
J
That
to
could
make
have
sure
a-
I added correctly though.
Okay, so your asterisk means that their portion was more. Oh wait,
Okay, the state tells us that you can only charge an employee X amount of dollars, and they set that minimum. So the ones that have the asterisks, so if you read at the bottom, so let's look at Plan N, the 10% of the cost is actually $78.34, but the state says you cannot charge them more than $61.90 for the
so
plan.
it's a dollar amount, not even a percentage.
Correct.
That is
It's a
crazy.
dollar amount. And it happens with the employee only and the employee child on both Plan N
I
and
see
Plan
that.
Q. I will say, I think we only have 2 employees on Plan Q, and I'm not even sure we have anybody on Plan N, so. But I just wanted you to,
Yeah, I see.
Be
I
aware of
I
that.
see that. Okay.
and I figure this way I can also make, once I figure out, I mean, I can tell you whether or not we're within budget, but once I figure this out, what I thought was when we sat down with employees, I like to change it up just a little bit. I have scheduled in that I would just talk to him about a half an hour, but that way employees can see, if I get the discount, it wouldn't cost me as much
I think
if
this-
I didn't. And what we like to do is kind of help any employee that needs help getting enrolled in the plan. Anybody that chooses not to go online and enrolled in the plan is automatically enrolled in Plan N, which is a high deductible.
But you were going to enroll them that day, right?
Yes,
If
if
they
they want. If they don't want to, then we won't. But that's kind of the intentions. We will not help them with their Health Quest points. However, if we have time and time will let us help them. The hard thing is we have employees that don't have access to computers, don't have access to internet, have no desire to have access. Those are the employees that we're struggling to get the discount because I can't hold their hand and I can't do it for them.
Right.
So,
So do we want to move on to the HR discussion?
yes, because I think that's it.
I mean, I think after this, we have to get to the point where we're gonna look at what our options are for the following year, because this is kind of set in stone as far as price-wise. Are you presenting this to the employees on October 8th or whatever that date is?
If you guys are okay with the 10%
Yeah.
and I will look and see where we are at. I just won't know any changes, because oftentimes, I mean, I know a couple of employees are getting a divorce. So,
Yeah,
you know, I can
things
kind
may
of
change.
guesstimate.
I
some
would
of
like
that.
to say, just as, to put the thought out there for the future, and when we look at new plans and when we do our solicitation through a broker, we may need to look at something like paying 90% for the employee, but then paying 75% for the family plan. You know, changing that percentage of what we pay based on what plan they choose, because if it's just employee spouse, maybe we'll pay 80%. And if it's employee family, maybe we'll pay 75%. And that gives us a lot more flexibility in our budget to have a different provider. You know, and I don't know what the other programs are. Let's say if you went with a group plan through Blue Cross and Blue Shield that wasn't through the co-op for the county, you know, the state, the government plan. But I do think in the future that needs to be a consideration. That's a lot of how that's how a lot of large employers do it. You know, a lot of employers won't pay your family plan at all. They'll pay the individual portion of it, maybe at 100%. Maybe we'll pay 100% of the employee's portion and 50% if they choose a family plan. And I know it may not be conducive to all employees across the board, but it certainly would give us the ability to raise our wages. And I think that's one of the problems that we've been talking about for 2 years now, is what is the competitive pay rate? You know, and if you add in what we're paying at almost $800 a month per employee, that's quite a few dollars an hour that they're making that they're not realizing they're making. And maybe we need to pay 100% of their individual insurance, but not 100% or 90% of anyone they add on. I mean, I'm not proposing that for next year. We've already made our decision. I'm just saying in the future, as we look through a broker, those are the kind of discussions I would like to see happen.
Well, and I can tell you, a long time ago, when I first started with the county, you only had two options. You were either single or you were a family, regardless of the quantity. And then one of the last years that we were stop loss, where you pay the first so many dollars of everybody's claim, and I think we were up to $15,000, and we were suggesting the first $20,000 of everybody's claim that we paid. They had finally broken it out into tiers where you had 4 options, like this is. So that's it's a little different now than what it was a long time ago, where a lot of our employees are still from a long time ago. So we'll figure it out, though. I guess the other thing is if you want to review this additional application I have, and then
I think we do.
decide. I think that is then everything, except for, did we make a full decision, or do you want to talk to Elisa first about moving?
Oh, I think we need to talk to her before we, yeah,
Okay.
I think we need to.
If you could just ask her to be on the agenda next week,
Okay.
then we can, I mean, you can at least do what you guys need to do on the first floor with the electrical bid being approved, and then for the month of October, then maybe we'll look at moving the rest of the stuff, because I know Jennifer said there's a trial in October, so she won't be doing anything that month necessarily, but then by November, if we have some things resituated and at least that third floor cleared out, and then you guys can decide when you want to have that file safe company come in.
Okay.
I move to enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing non-elected personnel to review a new application for the HR position for 5 minutes.
I will second.
Let me ask you this. You want me to go make copies first? 'Cause
Oh,
I
is there
did
only
not
one
do that.
copy?
I only
Yeah.
have one copy. Let me do that before you actually go down.
We'll take a short break.
Sure.
I can use a short break.
No, they're not.
supplies ready then?
Yep.
Yes.
Sure, 10, is it 10? I have 10 right now. Wanted to get out of the city, but
Okay,
some people don't.
so we need to talk about, in the month meeting. When
Oh.
do you want to have it?
Would Thursday afternoon work for everybody? Would you be ready Thursday afternoon?
Terry
Okay.
has a
Would
conflict
that work for you?
Friday.
What's that?
Has a Friday conflict.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he had asked whether Thursday or Friday afternoon, and I would almost rather do Thursday, just because then that way I can still mail out the checks on time
Yeah.
and get them in the mail.
Can
But
you make that work Thursday afternoon?
Yeah. Do you have a time in mind?
I don't.
How about 2:30?
It'd be fine. Work
So-
for you?
okay, so Thursday at 2:30, and I should be able to have a payroll emailed to you. I don't know about payables. When I thought I was going to be by myself doing payroll and payables, I had told everybody this is where we're at, this is the cutoff period, and any bills are just, we either need to contact the vendors
If you
or
don't,
stuff.
we've got all afternoon, go through it.
Okay.
It's just,
It's just nice to be able to.
yeah, it gives you more time to go through it, kind of, yeah, see something, question, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to just give you guys this health insurance thing for you to have something to look at, and I did try to add numbers twice and double check, but I did not
That's pretty
have
clear,
time to
though.
kind of add what everybody has currently.
And we're on the same page that we're just gonna pay our average monthly so that theirs doesn't change here.
Yeah. If you guys are okay with that.
I am.
Once I figured out that second half was, they were saying that's what the second half of the year was gonna be, then I thought, oh, well,
It changed
okay,
everything.
that's not so bad.
Yeah,
That's fine. Good idea.
So,
Okay, so I wanted to touch on the nursing home topic before we go. Has the committee met again since we
No,
were
the
given?
committee members are on vacation, several of them, so no, we won't meet until next week at the earliest.
Okay, so I had a few suggestions. I think what we're looking at are two options, and we were talking about how much utilization we can use, how much utilization we have available to go through the county hospital for whatever amount of services. And then I think the other thing we need to do is we need to look at recent purchases of smaller rural nursing homes. I've actually contacted a few, and there are some companies that are buying smaller rural nursing homes. And I'm not, I understand you've already made it clear that you don't want to sell the building. However, these types of companies may be the ones that we're looking to contract through our board to run the facility. They have the experience, they have the history, they actually have the intact contacts and licensing, facilitation through the state. One particular nursing home that sold, they got their new licensing done in about 6 weeks. So everything that we've been led to believe about this being an ominous process that'll never happen unless we buy out the direct license that's held now at the facility, I don't really think that's accurate. I think we need to be contacting these people. I think really what we should probably do is go ahead as a commission and put together a request for proposal. And I think we can solicit current Kansas nursing home operators who have the experience and have their businesses already intact to respond to us to see if there's that type of interest, because then we can appoint our new board and give them the instruction to look through, the bids that we may receive if we can put together something as far as a request for proposal. I think what we're offering as a county, if you look at the bills we just paid today, we bought a brand new hot water tank. We're paying for their sprinkling system to be inspected. We're paying for their fire alarm to be inspected. We're buying new sinks and new toilets. And, there are a lot of self-sufficient small nursing homes still existing out there. Even though they're being run by a more corporate management style setup, they're still paying their own bills, including their own property taxes and insurance, which we are also covering. So really, what we're offering is a pretty decent business package for someone to come in and run a business where we're guaranteeing a county subsidy. Now, I think we have to look at those two options. We're either gonna go through the hospital and expect them to have a lot of the management oversight. And I wrote down the top 5 county hospital-owned nursing homes that I think we should be contacting. If you look on the Medicare website, it's Anderson County Hospital in Garnett, Citizens Medical Center in Colby, Coffee County Hospital in Waverly, Community Hospital in St. Mary's, and FN Houston Med Center in Winchester. And then actually, number 6 is Gov County that you guys already spoke to. And I think
Actually, it was Rooks County.
oh, it wasn't Gov? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. My mistake. So
I
Gov,
would suggest that you have a
Gov was
visit
the one
with,
that was losing $800,000 a year, besides on top of all the subsidies.
Oh,
and
that
Rooks
was
that you talked to is the one that was subsidizing by like 400,000, right?
No. They were the
No,
one
they
that,
weren't receiving any
No.
subsidies. The Plainville nursing home was not. They were,
occasionally had to pay for something there.
yeah, the county would purchase big items like the hot water heater, the boiler system. They would take care of like the regular plumbing bills that might occur.
Is that being run by the hospital?
No.
No, that one's being run by the nonprofit organization.
Okay.
And Brooks County apparently has 2 nursing homes, so this is the one that is ran in Plainville. I
Okay.
don't know what the Stockton, I don't know if they ever really told us whether Stockton was private or
Okay.
county subsidy.
Gove County was run by the hospital,
Yes.
and they
okay.
got something
Yeah.
like $1.5 million in tax dollars and still lost $800 and some thousand.
Okay.
I don't think that's a model to be looking at.
Well, that's number 6 on the list as far as their ratings go by Medicare ratings. But number 1 on the list is Anderson County Hospital. Where is Garnett?
Garnett, that's where my mom's from.
Eastern Kansas,
Eastern
down by
Kansas,
Iowa.
south of Kansas City.
South of Kansas City. Okay. But I think if we're going to still be talking about any interconnected links between the hospital and the nursing home, you know, these hospitals are actually functioning as the administration for the nursing home. And I know we've talked about some of the discrepancies as to how you do the billing and what kind of per diem you get for certain services if the hospital does have an attached long-term care unit, but obviously they're doing it somehow, so we don't quite have enough information on those. So that's the hospital option. I think the other option is if we have an appointed board, they need to be looking to contract to an operator. And, you know, that doesn't have to be a long-term 30-year deal like it was with the Worths who operated up here, but there are businesses that are currently purchasing and running these small homes and making them work. And we have all the more to offer because we're subsidizing it. They're not going to come in and pay their own property taxes and their own insurance as far as right now. I mean, we could be setting up a request for proposal that says for the first 5 years, the county guarantees to cover your property taxes, your property insurance, any and all major repairs for appliances and facility issues. You know, we may have a lot of interest there. So I think that's the direction that the committee needs to be going, is seeing who would be interested.
I saw another state took over another home in Derby last week. Defaulted.
Who owned that one? Do you know?
I don't remember the name. It was called West Side or something like that. East Side or West Side or something. One of the things, they owed the state $400 and some thousand in bed tax. The state tacked on another $480 some thousand penalty. Besides, they had a whole list of accounts receivable.
Well, and I think that's the other thing that the committee needs to bring to the commission. The committee needs to report to the commission who are the actual shareholders of Lincoln Park Manor, because we don't have a statement of shareholders. And then what debt is there as far as, like you're saying, what the state can claim as debt against the actual operation. So bed tax was one that you named, and there's some other things that come as a lien against the license. So those two things need to be established before we make any further decisions, because we don't have either of those on record. And that shouldn't be a problem for them to get a hold of.
I guess I would suggest, since you're doing all this research, that maybe you should step in my place with that committee. And I really don't have the time right this time. I'm swamped for the next month with harvest and planting, so.
I will do that.
If you would like to, I will be glad to step aside and let you step in.
I will do that. Thank you. I might actually try to visit with some of these people. So do I have your permission then to, if we can set up anyone to come to a meeting to discuss? I think we need a little bit more information on how this process works.
I think you need to work within the committee, and Kelly has been acting as our point person, and I think I will tell her that you're stepping in my place because I cannot denote the time, and you need to be communicating with her because she's been setting up all the
meetings.
Yes.
Okay.
And doing the contact.
You don't have a tentative next meeting?
She sent out a note on some, I don't remember the dates, next week.
Okay.
She was asking people when they could meet.
Okay.
I will have her get in contact with you. When I leave the meeting, I'll go in there.
And Dawn, are we having an ad go into this week's paper? Did we decide? It didn't go in last week.
You guys made the motion, but I did not have time to.
No, I understand that.
I really don't know what to.
I think we need to get letters of interest like we just did for the rec board and like we did for all the other boards earlier. That way we can continue with the process of, I mean, I agree with you, Mr. Wallace. We need to get the board appointed. I just don't agree with using the group that already came to us because it doesn't set a good precedent for how we're going to form
My only
boards.
suggestion for that was that was some names that we had that we knew were interested.
I understand
that was my only suggestion, is that I knew those people were interested in.
It's their 501c3, it's not ours.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know how you're going to change that.
I think the discussion in the committee was maybe to do a separate one and scrap what they.
Only
I
because
think
it's
that's
not,
what-
and I'll make this a public statement, only because it was a self-forming organization. There's nothing wrong with what they want. There's nothing wrong with the people who are there. It's not the people or the group's intention. But if the commission is going to be appointing every year, I think we need to open it up to the county for public interest. And who knows, maybe no one else will write in except for the people that are on that very same
Well,
board.
there's some of those people on that board that don't want to be involved in it. But, I
Well,
mean,
then there you go. There's another
They were
thing.
helping try to keep it open and stuff, but they didn't feel like they had the expertise to operate the facility.
Which is why I think we need to look at one of two models. We need to hone in on, are we going to rely on our county-funded hospital because we're already allocating 10 mils a year for that facility, and we may need to just convert the nursing home finances into their facility for them to operate, like these other areas do. Maybe all these other areas are too big, and we can't compare to that model. Or do we then have this appointed board, whether or not the funding resource is a nonprofit, the board serves as the administrative arm and then contracts with a licensed operator who's been in business for a while. I mean,
I don't know how many of those hospitals that you named are critical access, but I'm sure Colby's not.
okay.
And
I'll
I
write that down.
doubt if Anderson County is. It's a fairly good-sized hospital, as I remember.
So you think being critical access is the hindering aspect of the
Absolutely,
hospital? Okay.
because of the way they're reimbursed.
Okay, reimbursements. Okay.
Okay, we'll adjourn until 2:30, the 27th, right? 2:30?
What's going on at 2:30?